excitement is palpable given the possibilities contained within the 360 agenda. The Hawks and Cats make their choices at selection and strap in for the finals opener that could shape the entire series. Baz and Cam bring all their September experience to the desk to find the trigger points of an enthralling weekend. And we go inside with Port Adelaide as it prepares to host an elimination final and match the deeds of last season. I'm Gerard Waitley, he's Mark Robinson. This Thursday night, it's footy from all angles. Hello, Robbo.
Hello, Gerard.
Just about ready?
Yes, we're in purple and mauve tonight. I just noticed on the mirror. Yeah, I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm really excited for it.
I wanted to end because it's been a pretty big day of news today in the AFL world. So Friday night's game night, so it might ease off a bit then. But yeah, we've got a bit to talk about tonight, haven't we?
We do. We're unashamedly going to start with the games though, and then work to the news thereafter. What are you looking forward to? Of all the possibilities, what are you choosing?
Well, I had two choices, and I just see here that you were my second choice.
Okay.
But I went with my first choice. I went with Steve Johnson. I'm looking forward to seeing Steve Johnson. He has been, I suppose, the injury story of the week. Yeah, clearly he has. Will he play or will he not? It all depended on how he woke up today after training yesterday. No pain. It's a really good sign. Steve Johnson's going to play. Now we're going to find out. I love challenging the champs. And we're going to find out whether the champs got it in him again. To miss 3 weeks, then come out against Hawks. Well, I mean, how great's that? Against Hawthorn, and see how he performs. He did a grand final day, and it was nearly the Norm Smith winner. Oh, I just want to see how the champ steps up on Friday night.
Yep.
Really, really looking forward to it. What about you?
Oh, I'm going with Buddy Franklin because it's worth reminding yourself that he's been the strongest narrative of the whole season from, what was it, 3 days after last year's grand final through the earliest days in Sydney. And then he's just settled into, he's at his magnetic, mesmeric best at the moment. And the whole final series might revolve around him, you know.
He's my pick of the finals.
Yeah.
But May, you're right.
And if he goes out at ANZ Stadium against Fremantle, who don't have a very good matchup for him, and despite the weather conditions and all, if he grabs hold of this first final, I just think it will set things up.
Yeah, it'll be great. It's amazing we both go for two superstars.
Yeah, but it's that time of year, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Come on, let's talk about Hawthorn.
Okay, let's get into the agenda and we'll go in order through the 4 games here. Hawthorn, well, they've overcome so much to reach this point, the defending premiers. They've stared down adversity at every turn, and tomorrow night they have to stare down the arch-enemy to keep things on track.
I know that this group's very, very proud group and a very, very experienced group. Now, they've played a lot of football together and they've coped with a lot of adversity, whether that's injuries, whether it's illnesses to their coach, or whether it's disappointing losses in finals. That's all part of the journey, and clubs that can handle that adversity, every club goes through it, but those clubs that can handle the adversity and move on from it are usually the ones that continue to find themselves giving themselves a chance at the end of each year. Tomorrow's going to be a great contest between 2 really good sides, and we've worked really hard as a footy club to put ourselves in a position to finish top 4. We've done that. Irrespective of the ladder positions, all 4 sides really of the top 4 start in a similar position. That they know that if they win this game of footy, they progress to a preliminary final. So that's great reward in a sense for those sides that have worked really hard to get to that position. But it's going to take a lot of hard work to get there.
So Hawthorn had choices to make at selection, and those have rolled in tonight. Suckling was ruled out at training, unable to overcome his injury to be a part of it, but there were still changes to be made. Hodge, Stratton and Hill all came in, and the 3 to lose their places, Schoenmakers, Litherland and Hartung.
It's not the same when you haven't got all of the list there.
No, it's not.
From now on, I want to say Hodge, Stratton and Hill. We'll get back to Hill, OK? 3 big ends. You got two midfielders and a defender. Hodge may go back if he has to. Of those three, Hodge is clearly the most important because he's a spiritual leader, but don't underestimate Brad Hill in this whole game. Isaac Smith, they'll probably try and shut him down. One or the other, they can't let him roam free. So I've said it a couple of times this year, Jared, Hill and Isaac Smith are the best 1-2 wing combination in the competition for their ability to not just run with speed, but to carry the ball, but run. They got big hearts. They continue to run. They've got endurance and they've got speed. And it's a hell of a mix to have. And you plonk them on the wing, which enables them to run defensively when they have to. When they get the pill, just take off and scare the bejesus out of the opposition. They're huge in Brad Hill.
Steve Johnson trained yesterday. He had to report to the club today with his own medical condition and then attend the team meeting to see if he was going to be part of it.
Steve, everyone wants to know, how'd you pull up yesterday and will you play?
Today I pulled up all right. Yeah, I think there's a fair chance I'll play.
No pain, all good?
No, I pulled up really well, so that was the main thing. And I've got a team meeting this morning. I'm hoping my magnet will be on the board.
Thanks for your time.
No worries. Cheers, mate.
And as the magnets landed, his name was on the board by the Geelong team sheet. Johnson, Motlop and McIntosh. There's one name missing there. We'll get back to that in a moment. Brown omitted, so he didn't get it. Walker got the other tall place up forward.
I said to you, Walker, a couple of weeks ago, and you said, no. I know.
It's only opinion.
I know Geelong.
No, I
you
didn't
said,
say
no,
that.
you basically said, I know Geelong.
No.
Walker won't be in.
Alan Christensen is not there.
Go. Yeah, back.
It's a back injury, and there are no guarantees with him. They're hopeful, but not guaranteed.
That one snuck through to the keeper a little bit. Yeah, I thought so. When he wasn't named tonight, I thought, well, I wasn't as alarmed about that as I should have been, or we all should have been in the football world. Yeah, he'll be missed. He's another one in that mix. And when you got Stokes and Christensen and Motlop and Caddy and Selwood and Bartel, that group, Johnson going around, it's deep. It's skillful. They all use the ball really well. You know, they're going to miss. We're talking about a player who's not playing, but they're going to miss him because he's got real football nous, Alan Christensen.
And if they did try to use speed and skill as their edge, then they're missing one of their key weapons. Of the 3 or 4 who are the best at that, one of them's missing. So everyone's missing someone at this time of year, but when that landed, that was a bad one.
Have you seen the Sydney team? Do you reckon everyone's missing someone at the moment?
They all miss someone, don't they?
I don't know about this Sydney team.
The 22nd player missing.
Go through the ins.
Yeah, let's talk Sydney, shall we? If we are guaranteed one battle, it will be in Sydney. The weather might be dicey, but the hand-to-hand combat is absolutely assured.
It's going to be a grind, it's going to be a battle. You know, it mightn't be the prettiest game to watch, but I think you've got to appreciate the spectacle for what it is.
Yeah, geez, if you're a spectator at home, you'd be absolutely thrilled and enthralled with that battle inside, wouldn't you?
It's going to be 2 hardened teams just going to battle, and that's what it is.
You know, it's a big clash, and that's what big finals are about. Those big contests in the middle, big bodies, and you know, I know our guys are primed for it.
We've got that confidence now in our structure. It will stand up, and it's proven. You know, it's proven in finals. We know what works.
We're an extremely driven group. I think we're really well placed to attack what is a big month of football.
Huge game. I mean, our boys know that. They're really gearing themselves up, and I'm sure the Freo boys are too.
So just before the Sydney Treasure Chest, at training today, Heath Grundy, in the early stages of training, basically withdrew with what looked like a calf complaint. And we went through this last week with Josh Gibson. You never know what these are when they happen, but you don't want to see it at the last key training session before a final.
There's a lot of interest in his right leg there, Jared, looking at that screen. Go off. It could be, it just could be for safety. You never know, but that's a little alarming. Yes. Actually, it's more than a little alarming. You know, so you're talking before about are they at their best, Sydney? If Grundy's not playing, no, they're not.
Franklin,
Feast on
Kennedy, McGlynn, Bird, Pike. All have had the week off. I don't care what you want to call it. All had the week off. And losing their place is Mitchell, he keeps doing everything right when he gets a chance, but there's no spot for Biggs, Towers, Naismith and Jones.
Mitchell had 28 and about 13 tackles last week, so when he was asked to do work on your defensive side of the game, he says, yeah, OK, I'll bide my time. He finally goes into a game like that, lays 13 tackles and he goes out of the team. But you've got a reward. I mean, he's not going to leave Bird out. Kennedy's certainly not going out, and McGlynn's been... Geez, he's been one of the real constants, elite constants at Sydney this year. I looked at those ins today and I just went, oh boy, have a look at that. That is a strong, strong team. Will they have the touch? Kennedy's missed 3. Franklin just the 1. McGlynn, what, 2, 3? Do they need the touch? Maybe. Where about the Fremantle boys?
5. Griffin, so they're loaded up a little bit up forward. Silvani goes down back. We know Johnson won't be back this final series. Subin with the ankle and Crozier lost his place.
Do you think they might have brought in Griffin as a bit of a stopgap at the back? Like if one of them gets badly beaten, okay, let's say it's going to be probably. They can both threaten Tippett and Kennedy, Tippett and Franklin. So they've got Dawson and they've got Silvani. If one of them gets badly beaten, what's the go-to plan? Is it Clark from forward back? If it's Griffin can't go with Franklin.
Nope.
But Griffin might be able to go with Tippett.
Okay.
You know, so. You know, it just could be a backup. Because if it is wet, so they're going to go with Pavlich, Clark, Griffin, Sanderland. Geez, the more I talk, the more I reckon it's a backup defensive plan. You never know. I don't know. No. How am I arguing, all right?
I think it's an intriguing pick.
Yeah, I think it is.
Especially if it is wet. I wonder whether they'd follow through with it or not. The third of the Sunday's match is at the Adelaide Oval. The Cinderella team of last year was Port Adelaide, but the fairy tale run this year is Richmond, who have ridden this all the way to the finals. And Damien Hardwick, well, he's not coaching just a team at the moment. He's coaching a club and a supporter base as they head towards an elimination final.
It was great to go back-to-back finals, but more importantly, we think we've got bigger things in place, and our guys are really excited for the challenge. And getting to the finals is only part of the equation. We've just got to make sure we continue to win some footy games to get where we need to go. We've been playing elimination finals now for the last 5 weeks, so nothing's changed from our point of view. We've just got to make sure we get the result this week. Good form's good form, though. That's a positive for our point of view. Our guys are playing a sustainable brand of footy that we think is capable of winning big games in finals. Last week was the same. It was a highly contested game. It was hard and tough and close, and we're really pleased we're going to get that same sort of game this week. You both play a similar brand of footy. So it's a matter of which side wins that inside battle, and we're priming our guys for that. Obviously Ken will be doing the same, and it's going to be a great contest. I'm looking forward to it, and I know our boys will do us proud. The competition's becoming so even at the moment that you've got to take your chances when they present. Look, granted we're in 8th spot, but I think it might be a fair assumption to say this might be one of the best final series we see.
So the Tigers had choices to make. We don't know the answer yet here on Dan Jackson. He is into the squad of 25, but he's on the extended bench. So Jackson, D and Lloyd. It meant that Vickery is not part of the squad, and that was probably the only question that's been answered there.
No, wasn't going to play. Wasn't going to play. The big one's Jackson. What do you do with a guy who's played for, 10 years now, 11 years? Best and fairest winner last year. Finals, body on the line, contested footy. Jackson certainly can do that. Hardwick told us earlier in the week, has he had enough touch? Do you go in with a guy who they think hasn't got enough touch?
And our hunch was no, just on body language and tone, wasn't it?
It was. We may be wrong, but that's what we thought.
The Port Adelaide's going to be unchanged by the look of what they've done. They've brought in the 3 cover players, Mitchell, O'Shea and Newton, and they're the last 3 named on the team sheet. So if you were having a stab at things, you'd probably have a guess that what fronted up last week is what will front up this week.
It's a bit of a calm before the storm with Port Adelaide and Richmond. To be honest, I'm sick of everyone talking about it. I just want them... The talk's over, and it's only Thursday night, but the talk's over. I've heard from everyone from both clubs. Yes, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. I'm sick of it. No one can tell me anything about this game anymore.
OK. Just
play it, go furious, and may the winner stand up at the end.
The one thing I can tell you is that they're finding every last ticket for this match.
Know that.
It's going to be a sellout. They've come up with 1,000 more to be released.
where do you
first
find
thing tomorrow morning.
Where do you find 1,000
So this morning
tickets?
there were 1,500 that they were able to come up with, and now they've found 1,000 more.
Where are
they're
they
in the
finding
public
them,
and
Jared?
western stands.
Well, in the drawers.
Style.
Come on, who's pilfered some tickets, selling them to some mates?
We're
Cough
putting them up on Ticket Tech right now.
Well, that's wrong.
No, it's good.
I think it's wrong that people line up early in the week, no, we're sold out. And then they drip feed, no, we've got 1,000 here, we've got 1,500 there. That just disappoints people.
It's been a long time. It's been too long since both North Melbourne and Essendon won a final, and it provides a real sense of urgency in what will happen on Saturday night at the MCG.
It's good. I would have been disappointed if I had to come back for a year and not done it. Yeah. That's once you take the job, that's it. You're just a competitive beast, and you want to do as well as you can do. And here we are. We're there. It was about the opportunities you get and basically preparing yourself and believing in yourselves because I think they've got a lot to believe in. We're pretty well placed here.
It will be in between the years for this playing group. You know, whether or not we can handle. We've handled pressure before. We've handled enormous amounts of pressure, but can we harness it and then use it?
We're more ready than we've ever been, and you know the proof will be in the pudding. You know, we think our best has shown this year that we're capable. Now it's time to produce it.
And that rings true across both teams. It's time to produce it.
More than anyone? Probably not. Kangaroos? It's time. That's what I'd put on the banner. That's it. It's time. Let's cut the talk out. They've been talking for a long time, the Kangaroos. It's time to stand up. I've picked them. I picked
we
North.
knew the 5 changes would come up like this. Farito, Thomas, Greenwood, Goldstein, McDonald, all the players rested from
It's a good group, isn't it? It's a really good group to bring in.
But they lost a couple. Adams with the concussion and Hansen with the hip, which is what had been feared all week. Curry, Mullet and Wood make way. Is the Adams injury and the Hansen injury are the two that you didn't want?
No. He's a really... especially Hansen.
Yep.
Structurally, I think he's really, really important.
Myers gets back Steinberg. Now, Ambrose has been omitted, so we were talking about a thin, tall forward line as it was. Sellers was talking about Danaher and Ambrose and the tasks that lay ahead. Well, it won't be Ambrose now, and Fantasia, the youngster, loses his place.
Makes me think that Steinberg might go back and Hurley might go forward.
I like the way you think.
That's what I'm thinking. Because they're not sticking Steinberg in the forward line, mate. He's played 12.5 minutes of football. Every time he touched the ball in that first game, he turned it over. I'm not having a go at him, but that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
So it's an interesting selection.
It's an interesting match. The rest of the news, and it's usually the teams who are out of action at this stage of the year where the best of it comes from, but that's not the case this time around. Paddy Ryder, the Essendon ruckman, who's had such a good year, is being fitted up for a trade to the Brisbane Lions, or so you would have thought. Essendon statement tonight. Essendon Football Club has no intention of trading Paddy Ryder. Paddy is contracted until the end of the 2016 season and is a valued and much-loved member of our playing group. The Essendon statement goes on to say, current media speculation about his future is premature and ill-informed. The club and Paddy have already agreed to sit down and discuss any concerns he has post-season, but it did come with a kicker at the end. It is extremely disappointing that Paddy's manager Paul Connors has chosen to play these matters out in the press on the eve of the club's finals campaign. These actions have put unnecessary pressure on Paddy and his family. Now, the interesting part in all of that is, while Essendon has no intention of trading him, it's whether a clause in the contract could be triggered over the failure of the duty of care that would allow him to walk as a free agent.
It comes down to one question. If Ryder wants to be there, he stays. If Ryder wants to go, where he's been made some offers, and some of them are $150,000 more, that's got to be a consideration. Paul Connors, his manager, triggers that clause, and he'll win. He will win. In the climate that we are in right now, he will win, and he will walk. It's not so much about Paddy Ryder, this. Paddy's married. It's a decision for Patrick and his wife. I think I've actually written tomorrow, Jared. I don't think the Essendon Football Club should be convincing Patrick. I think they should be convincing his wife, Jess. Now, what is disturbed Essendon about this is Paul Connors went to Essendon last week with this scenario. And it probably started when Greg Swan came out and said, we've got $1.5 million in the salary cap. Swanee's allowed to say that. You know why? Because that gives great hope to Lions fans. Bingo, let's go out and get some top-end talent. Straight away, all these managers rang up Greg Swan and said, oh, yeah, rah, 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 rah. Now, does Essendon talk to Ryder? Patrick Ryder is playing an elimination final. He's probably the most important player at Essendon. Probably not the most, but you know what I mean. Top three. Just so influential. And this has played on his mind for 18 months. And his wife is distressed.
Yep.
This story breaks today. There's more in the papers tomorrow about it.
This is the residual of the interviews from the Asada investigation, isn't it?
And I was just talking on radio before to David Swartz, and I'd said, David, if you're an Essendon supporter, how would you feel if Patrick Ryder has a very, very poor game on the weekend? Would you blame Paul Connors? You know, would you put it on the manager? And he said, yes, he would. You don't need distractions going into a final. And this is a big one. I'm telling you, back page of both dailies here in Melbourne, the Herald Sun and the Age. I think they're on the back page tomorrow. There's accompanying, narrative pieces which will be written. This is not what the Essendon Football Club needs, and I'm sure it's not what Patrick Ryder needs.
Do you think the Lions are thinking long-term? Do you think they're thinking sort of 6-year terms with Ryder?
I don't know if the Lions are thinking it is a lay-down misère, as what's been reported.
Oh, no, but you have to be bold. So they would have to be bold to get him. A contract that might sort of level out at, I don't know, 650 over 6 years.
Yeah, that's possible. He's 26. I mean, I would think of at least 5 years. At least 5 years. It's a big nibble. I don't know if it's across the line. I will say this tonight, though. Essendon are very confident that Patrick Ryder won't be leaving that football club. Regardless of that statement or not, they're very confident he won't be leaving.
I think the Lions are going to have a dip at Dane Beams in the short term rather than waiting till he's out of contract. I think they'll have a crack right now.
I've got a little feeling that the Lions...
2 punches, Ryder Beams, try your luck. You have to be aggressive to get them.
I think the Lions have jumped on a plane today. They might have been going to Bali to see what's going on in Bali, but I think they might have been coming to Melbourne.
Okay. James Frawley with the Melbourne Best and Fairest tonight. He has been the centre of so much attention through free agency as that list has thinned right out. Julian De Stoop is at the Demons Best and Fairest. Jules, is James Frawley there as well?
Yeah, good evening, Gerard and Robbo. Yeah, James Frawley is here. The count has just started. He arrived and he's mingling with his teammates. He looks pretty relaxed. We still all suspect that he has played his last game for the Demons. The Cats still the favourite to snare him with an offer, a 5-year deal around $500,000 on the table at the moment. We saw yesterday James Frawley wasn't too keen to speak to the waiting media as he left his exit interview at Amy Park. Paul Roos is still holding out hope that he hasn't made a decision, but Peter Jackson made it pretty clear on the weekend. He believes that James Frawley is all but gone. So we expect this will be the last official function that James Frawley attends as a Melbourne player. And it's good news too for the Demons tonight. They'll announce that Peter Jackson has signed on as the chief executive for another year. But as we say, guys, it's very much expected that James Frawley has still played his last game for the Melbourne Footy Club. But as we mentioned here, he's in good spirits. He's enjoying the night. But as we say, we don't expect him to be in the red and blue next year.
Good on you, Jules. Now, the story that was reported in the Australian was that Daniel Merritt might go the same way here, and his attendance at the Best and Fairest tomorrow night might be his last as a Lion. He's been a 10-year player, 171 games, and I certainly believe this to be true as things are ending a bit bitterly, actually.
Why? You got any more explanation?
I think there's a disagreement over the future role between Merritt and Leppich, and the coach has chosen a clear direction with his team, and that doesn't suit Merritt's purposes, I don't think.
What, too old? They're going to go with the younger people?
Probably where he's going to play, I think.
Fullback, there's only 2 choices.
Yep. I don't think he's going to play in defence anymore.
Did he want to play in defence?
I can't really answer that, but I think his appearance at the Lions Best and Fairest tomorrow night's the last time he'll be at a Lions.
Do you think he will get interest from other clubs?
Yes.
Oh, so do I.
Definitely. Mitch Robinson was surprised that Carlton was going to trade him.
To borrow a line I read today on Twitter, I'm surprised that Robinson's surprised.
Who said that? That was Adam White.
Was that Adam White? Well done, Whitey.
Nick Bowen broke that story a couple of days ago on AFL.com, and Robinson was a little unaware that that's the way it was going to go. So, look, that's...
It's not the fighting that killed him.
No.
It's the lying.
It's the cover-up that always gets
you. It's like the Essendon. That's what people say about the Essendon thing.
I think that was Nixon.
Was it? Yeah. Well, it's not the crime that actually might get you. It's the cover-up. That's only an allegation, so don't go mad, AFL. But he will get interest. He will. Yep. He will. It's a tough game. He's a tough player. He can make a football club a little bit more stern. Levi Casbolt signed for 2 years at the Blues, so that takes one of those chips away. And the other story which was breaking as we went on air tonight was Michael Gleeson's posted on The Age. Collingwood is likely to part ways with Premiership player Heritier Lumumba after he criticised the club for not acting on a homophobic slur, and after a series of intense discussions in recent weeks have now broken down. Now, this is what was rumoured at early in the week, but it was brought to Dane Swan rather than to Heritier Lumumba, and the question was, could somebody get this story up? And Michael Gleeson's got the story up tonight. And it revolves around a poster in the rooms, we understand. This graffitied slogan on it? Graffitied slogan on it, which was a picture of two players, and someone had written after the Mardi Gras. Harry took that as a homophobic slur, wanted it taken down, and from that moment to now, Harry may not be playing for Collingwood anymore. So this, the Age report quotes a meeting with Buckley. Lumumba said in that meeting he might resign, to which it was suggested that that might not be a bad idea. Reminds me of when David Schwartz once again went into Neil Danner and said, I'm thinking about retiring, and Neil Danner said, I think that's a pretty good idea. I would think with Harry, that sometimes you just got to say, you know what? We might be better off without the disruption, Harry. Let's bring in Cam and Baz. Get it back to the footy that's going to unfold this weekend.
The form line goes out the window, and the dissection of matchups, and he'll have him and. Because they're kind of two separate entities. They're like the Lakers and the Celtics. It all starts, literally starts at zero. I reckon it's that sort of heavyweight clash.
That's why they're great games, and it's why everyone's looking forward to this Friday night encounter. It's business as usual for us. We love the challenge and know we've got to be prepared to have some disappointment along the way, because you're not going to win every final series you go into it, but we'd much prefer to be in there having a crack. You'll appreciate it more, especially you're building a side now. I come into a side that was ready to go. Now sort of we're building, and we can see where we're going.
That's the build-up to tomorrow night. How it starts, Hawthorn and Geelong. Cameron Mooney, welcome.
Excited.
How were you last week when he gave you a whack?
Didn't even feel it.
Didn't you go down?
Did not even feel it. I thought it was a mosquito.
Oh, I thought he had onions in his top pocket. He was crying.
So more than 40 finals between you and 4 premierships. So the weight of experience from this time of the year. A couple of the specific questions about tomorrow night first. Alan Christensen not being there.
Huge out. Massive out. And don't underplay how important this guy is to the footy club. I mean, I think he's got one of the great all-round games in football. He's hard, he's in and under, he wins his own ball, and then he's able to spread forward when the time is right, get on the end of it, kick goals. He's
set up,
unbelievably smart. He's a great kick. He's a fantastic player, Bundy, and they're going to miss him dearly.
Can Steve Johnson have an impact off no preparation?
Well, I think he can, purely off the talent he's got. He only needs 20 disposals. Without much running under his belt, he can do that, and he can have a massive impact. He can still be the best player on the ground with 20 disposals. We've seen how he uses the ball. He doesn't need a lot of running capacities. He's a smart player. He knows where to get it, and every time he gets it, he uses it. So, look, I don't think it will waver his preparation at all.
More midfield forward or forward midfield?
Oh, look, I think he'll play both.
He will.
Look, he's the kind of guy, Steve, who could spend the last 3 weeks sitting on the couch, which he's probably more than likely have done, and still come out and run everybody into the ground. He's one of the best gut runners I've ever witnessed in a game of football. So his fitness levels won't be a problem whatsoever. He'll play a lot of midfield. He needs to go forward and kick goals as well. We know that, but no question he'll spend time through the midfield.
So Lake on Hawkins has transfixed many. Mark McClure spoke about it at length last night. How significant to the match is it?
Well, it's the matchup everyone's going to be looking at. Tommy Hawkins, if Geelong are any chance, he's got to kick multiple goals. We know they're a little bit one-dimensional, but as I said, if the players around Tommy Hawkins can keep their opponents accountable and keep that to a one-on-one, Brian Lake could be in a little bit of trouble. We know Tommy Hawkins, one of the strongest players in the AFL. It's going to be a great matchup, but as I said, it's the players around Tommy Hawkins that's going to really dictate that matchup.
You've each chosen a Mr. September, and yours lands in this game.
Well, Josh Caddy's mine this year. I mean, this kid, he's played nearly 60 games. They've run him into fitness and form just at the perfect time, I think. And we know he's missed a fair bit of foot. He's only played, I think, the 14 games this year. Had a great game last week, had 24 and he kicked 3. He's an absolute bull. He really is. And a lot of tension is going to go on Selwood and Johnson when they're going through the middle. This guy is a line breaker, he's a game breaker, and you can put him forward and he can kick big goals too. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Josh Caddy.
North Melbourne and Essendon. How untimely is the Paddy Ryder debate as Essendon heads into its biggest game in many a year?
Yeah, it's terrible timing, and I think we've seen in the Essendon statement they're filthy with it. It's and so they should be. As I said, the timing of it is terrible. They're on the eve of a final series, and this is a distraction they do not want. Whether it's valid or not is not the issue. It can be spoken about after a final series, surely, but the time is terrible.
Yeah, I agree with you, Baz. You know, when you guys played finals, when you got to the finals, you've worked for not just that week, you've worked for since the previous October. You think, right, we're beauty, we're here. What are we going to do? 2 days out from that final, someone drops a bomb.
You find out your ruck on what's out.
Yeah, you find out. You don't know. You don't.
No, I know.
Yeah, someone drops a bomb on your preparation. You think, God Almighty. People would think, how incredibly selfish is this from Paul Connors? And I don't know that, but we've got to hear from Paul Connors at some stage. But
that was my next question. Why the timing and why now?
I don't know, mate.
Is there anything behind it?
You know, because we're all cynics and we all think that. Is there got to be an ulterior agenda?
Robbo's gone all Gough Whitlam on us with North Melbourne. It's time. Is it time?
Completely on the same track as you, Rob. I think it's more about North than it is Essendon.
Hang on, Gough Whitlam used to be a Prime Minister of Australia, Baz.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, keep going.
Golf.
He's a surfer.
Golf? You want to play golf?
We've been talking about this group for a few years. They went to the draft 5 years ago and they brought in, God, I can rattle names, Atley, Grimer, Bastanak, Black, Zeeble, Cunnington, Wright, McMillan, Jacobs, Greenwood. They've all played 50 to 100 games now together. It is now time for this group to deliver.
It'd be incredibly disappointing, Barry, if they did lose, wouldn't it? I mean,
it would. Yeah, because their recent finals appearances haven't been great. And I think for them to make a final series is one thing, but you want to make a final series and make a bit of a statement to say that we're going to elevate this team. We can win finals games for a start. Get there, but you want to win some.
How significant was it for both of you guys to first get there and win that first one?
Well, our first one really was 2004, and we had to travel over to Port Adelaide. And
did Jared play?
Well, he was obviously watching us, and we got absolutely smacked by Port Adelaide, who went on to win the premiership that year. And but we took so much out of that absolute belting from them. We came back and we beat Essendon the next week in the semi. So, we played in 3 finals that year and only won 1. So just playing in finals, look, you want to win them, obviously, but just playing in finals and building those finals games up are just as important as just trying to get that first win.
With every footy club, there's disappointment before success. I think Geelong went through it. We went through it at the Sydney Swans. You need that disappointment just to drive you that little bit extra.
It seems to be.
Yeah.
It seems to be the progression of a good to a great team. You've got to be dealt. You've got to be stung, and then it takes you to an extra level.
Well, no team really just goes from not playing finals football for 5 years to all of a sudden winning 3 games in a row in the
preliminary finals
and winning a premiership. You've always got building blocks and stepping stones, and we did 04, 05. We had our hearts broken by Sydney, and then we took a huge step backwards, and then we finally went forward in 07. So we had to build our way to it.
Sydney looks terrifying on paper. Do you think that's the reality?
Yeah, they're terrifying for some, but smiling for others. So
you were playing there, champ.
Look, that's fantastic. Obviously, some really big ends: McGlynn, Franklin, Kennedy, Bird, and Pike, and they're all really important to the Swan structure. They give them such flexibility. Look, I can't see any weak points in the Sydney Swans at this stage. Obviously, the injury of Reggie Grundy's going down is not real good, but look, they'll fill that void. They're a really good team defence, so one player out's not going to affect too much.
Did you see Franklin then? He's punching and bumping everyone and having
he's
fun.
Up and about.
The crazy that 22 weeks ago people were riding. This guy could destroy the Sydney Swans, and now he's bumping everyone coming out of the meeting.
This final,
they all want to be around him because he's just that contagious.
Campaign has him written all over it as just being. We already know he's a star. This could put him into a whole new stratosphere of what this man is capable of. And look at Fremantle. I mean, great ins there. A couple of really good ins there, but look, that's scary for them. I mean, Dawson and Silvani are going to have to play on Buddy and Tippett. Then you look at Ibbotson and Duffield are probably going to have to do Reid and Goods. Play on those guys. It's going to be a massive stretch for them. We talk about team defence with Fremantle, but eventually you're going to have to do some one-on-ones, and those one-on-ones look scary.
Your Mr. September's in this game?
Yeah, my Mr. September is Luke Parker. He's one of my favourite players to watch, and he just goes under the radar. We speak about Buddy and Tippett all the time, and I say it all the time about this bloke. Very, very underrated. We look at Dusty Martin in terms of a one-on-one player. This guy is not far behind him at all. I reckon he's on par. One-on-one contest, he's outstanding.
Could he beat Josh Kennedy for the club best and fairest?
He'd be up there because he's been very, very consistent. And look, internally, the Sydney Swans have valued Luke Parker to no end. And look, he tackles. As I said, he's good one-on-one. He kicks goals. He gets possessions. He's a complete package. Goes under the radar, as I said, but geez, they wouldn't. They'd certainly value him in the Swans change rooms, no doubt about that.
So now that the Swans are back in the finals, you're back sucking up to them and talking to them and trying to get.
Isn't it all we now? Isn't it?
It's we. You're back friends. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. Just got over this one yesterday.
The other arm. Port Adelaide and Richmond. So Port had a breakthrough and a disappointment last year. That looks like the perfect sort of stepping stone.
It does, and I think for Port, nice snort over there.
He's buckled over in pain.
I think the right people are coming back into form for him just over the last few weeks. Wingard, Ebert through the middle of the ground. Then you throw Schultz in, who kicked 6 last week. And I think Pollock with his run. Just that little ingredient. And then the 3 keys, down back, who have just started to play some games together again over the last few weeks. Huge they are for their team defence, and they're running into some really good form, I think.
I want to see who goes to Robbie Gray. They're going to put someone to him. Obviously, he was clearly their best on ground in round 23 against the Dockers. I just want to see who goes. So will it be Morris? Morris is a type that
he won't die. Not trying. Stevie Morris.
He'll have a red hot crack.
Morris can't go. I don't think Morris can go with him in the midfield.
In the mid.
So it's going to be a tough one for that matchup.
With you, I asked you about the defenders. Not so much Rance, because there's lots been written about him. Troy Chaplin. Have you noticed him in the second half? I reckon at round 12, when people were pointing the finger at Richmond, they wanted to say, Chaplin, what are you doing, pal? You've fallen off the perch. I think Chaplin's last half of the year has been really sensational. Have you noticed him?
Yeah, he's grown. He's been almost in the background of Alex Rance, but he's grown as a player. He's a lot more reliable. He's not conceding as many goals in the one-on-one contests. He certainly elevated his game.
So who gets Schultz? Does Rance get Schultz, or does Chaplin get Schultz because he's closer to goal?
Well, to be honest, when we look at Westhoff, Westhoff we know just runs up and down the ground. Now,
he's a problem child.
I think Rance could probably go with him, but Rance is such a good defender in that back 50. You want him there. Like I said, Schultz came into really good form last week. I think they'll start Rance with Schultz. He's the main go-to man, Schultz, inside 50.
So they take Chaplin out of the square, out of that area?
I think Chaplin goes with Westhoff. It probably allows him to run right down the other end and just cut him off and come back and try and play that spare man when he can. But I think you need Rance inside your defensive 50.
We got one last Tiger element.
Deledio. He's played over 200 games. He only played the one final. He's been a very, very good player for this footy club. this is a finals campaign that could make him absolute elite. And I think it's just set up for him because he's had such a great back half of the season.
Who's running the uppercut?
Yeah, I got the uppercut this week again. And unfortunately, we're going to have to whack one of our own again.
Oh.
Who? Hope it's not me. This is wrong.
We got old mate Moons over there.
Good.
He's taken his hand to acting. Have a look at this. Have a look at this acting. Look at the facial expressions.
Just get your gear up.
It's not all about lines, but just have a listen and have a watch.
Scarlett and Gaz are all talking about the game in the nude. Hey, what's it like working with Barry Hall? Who plays in a grand final and doesn't get a touch in a grand final? And every time you're on the boundary, you're from Geelong, for Christ's sake.
Right. I'm telling you now, you blokes have been holding me back.
What'd you call him?
You blokes are Am I allowed to say it?
Yeah. I didn't know what was worse. The acting,
it was a DH.
The acting or wasting the beer. I don't know what was worse.
You blokes are holding me back, but that's Logie Award-winning stuff there.
What is that? What is
it? Four quarters. It's just a little YouTube show that they've just started, and I think there might be someone else on it a little bit later.
You knucklehead. Are you doing one?
No comment.
Oh, come on. Righto, enjoy your weekend.
No comment. In the Actors Guild of America. No comment.
Next, Port Adelaide. David King was with me when we caught up with Ken Hinkley and Travis Boak as the Power looks to do what it did last year and advance through an elimination final. What do you need out of it, Damien, to finish the season?
Oh, I just think for us to play, the way we have, the Richmond way. It's just that hard, tough brand of footy we've put out in the park for the last, period of time. Yeah, we think if we do that, we're capable of beating anyone.
There's been times where teams get on top of us, but I think the difference between where we were and where we are now is that we have the ability to turn the game back on our terms, and I suppose the 22 players that are contributing each week is really important for us as a group.
Consistency of performance is the reason we've got back into the 8, and it's the reason we'll go further as well.
Sunday afternoon at the Showpiece Adelaide Oval. I think we all know how good this is going to be. Port Adelaide and Richmond in an elimination final. Let's spend 360 seconds with the leadership at the Power. Ken Hinkley, the coach, and Travis Boak, the captain. Gents, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, boys.
Kenny, to you first. Look, everybody knows the historical imperative of the double chance, but do you take Port Adelaide into this final series believing it to be a contender?
Yeah, I do, Jared. I think, obviously it's, we played high-stakes footy on the weekend and unfortunately we've come up a little bit short. But it doesn't mean we can't compete really strongly throughout the whole month of September, and we're going to give ourselves the best chance and hopefully starting Sunday.
Travis, we spoke a couple of weeks ago on this show about what you were trying to get back. Do you feel like the team is in the position that you want it to be heading into a final series?
Yeah, look, I think over the last few weeks we've certainly been able to improve our game. I think our energy is back in our game, and we had a big challenge on the weekend against Freo, and I think we certainly learned a lot out of that as well. And I think we're taking the right steps forward, and we've taken a fair bit out of the last few weeks, and we're ready to go for September.
Ken, I heard you review your performance as a coach from last year's final where Geelong got you in the second half, and you regretted some of the half-time message. Have you thought forward into what your messaging will be in certain situations or certain circumstances this far out, or not?
Yeah, look, I have, Kingy. I mean, I've learnt from that game, I suppose, and it was only a small learning that you need to. We always say that we need to believe in what we do more than the opposition, and it's about what we try to set up. Now, on that game, unfortunately for me, I think I was a little bit more nervous about what Geelong were going to do than what we were going to provide back at them. So I've certainly learnt, and I use that round one this year. I reckon straight through, you actually put in the memory bank. Say, okay, don't get lost in the opposition too much. Make sure you focus in on what we need to do well.
Looked like you were back to your high-speed running game that we'd seen in the first 10 weeks of the season on the weekend. You must be really happy where the team's at right now.
Yeah, I think we've had a really strong last month, to be honest. We played Sydney down here, and we, really strong game where we just come up short. We took the opportunity against, I think it was the Gold Coast, in really tough conditions. We had, really good numbers in our front half, and then we had a really strong performance at Adelaide Oval against Carlton, and then you get the ultimate test against Freo, which we were, really strong in. But we did give them a 30-minute patch where they kicked 8 or 9 goals in a row, and that hurt us badly.
Travis, give us an idea, how hard have you been working in the last few weeks to get back to where you need to be?
Yeah, look, I don't think we've changed, too much in our training program or anything like that. I think, we've probably just narrowed it down on a couple of little things and we'll try to work that back into our group. As I said, the energy was probably one that we really needed to get back, and certainly, I think having Jacko and Alapate and these guys back in the side certainly helped a fair bit. And look, our training over the last few weeks has, probably been the best we've had this season. And back to the guys coming to the club and absolutely loving being around the place, love getting back out on the track, and we're enjoying it. And now come September, it's pretty hard not to enjoy it as well.
If I asked you to compare this time last year to now and all that's happened in the interim, but you were big outsiders last year, not many gave you a hope. This year you've set things up beautifully and got a home final. For you personally, and maybe for the collective, how would you compare the two?
Well, look, I think this year around we've probably learnt a lot. Obviously last year not many of our players had played in any finals, and I think being able to play Geelong and Collingwood at the MCG on big occasions certainly helped our group and learn and get that experience and exposure to the big occasion. And from there we've had big games this year. Obviously one on the weekend against a quality side, and we played Hawthorn in front of 50,000, and these sort of games have certainly helped our group gain that experience, and I think that's probably where we've taken probably a step forward from where we were last year, and that confidence is certainly there, and we're ready to go for Sunday.
Travis, much has been made about your comments post-game with the Richmond clash last time in round 17, where you said, I hope Troy Chaplin's enjoying his season. Any issues with what you said?
Well, he'll be certainly enjoying his season. I think they're 9 from 9 at the moment, so he'll be pretty happy. But look, it was just a little bit of banter, and look, we've moved on from that, and it's going to be all about how we play on Sunday. So just a little bit of banter after the game, and it's all forgotten.
Kenny, what's your opinion of Richmond and how they've come storming back into this season to be your opponent on Sunday?
Oh, I think they've done an incredible job. Obviously, you win 9 in a row. It's an amazing effort, and Dimmer's got them back on track. And they had a really slow start to the season that they would have much preferred not to have. But they did have some issues, I think, with personnel and stuff as well. They're a really strong side. We know last year, I think they got maybe 15 wins for the season, and their best is really good. They showed that again on the weekend, and we know we're going to have to provide our absolute best. They're a real challenge. They're a real live opportunity in the finals, as we are.
So last one, Kenny, and this is not unique to Port Adelaide, but it's relevant to everybody. How important is it to win a final to frank all that you've done throughout this season?
Oh, I think it's really important that you go out and you certainly give a good account of yourself. And obviously we're going into this game planning to win the game. Last year we did the same. We had an opportunity in the first final. We know it's cutthroat, though. We know it's a small margins game that we play, and we really want to make sure that we go out and have a strong performance and give a good account of ourselves. And hopefully the win will come as a part of that. But I'm sure Richmond are thinking very similar.
Kenny, Travis, good luck for it.
Thanks, boys.
Guys.
Ken Hinkley and Travis Boak with us on AFL 360. Next, we'll play the weekend forecast, and this time tomorrow night, the final series begins. Hawthorn and Geelong, the best of the pre-game, half-time and post-game analysis here on Fox Footy.
Whenever we're searching for a bit of confidence, we definitely flick on 360 and away we go.
I remember seeing the news when I got home and Dennis's reaction. I thought, this is going to be a long week. This is going to be a long week.
That's a pretty good call from you. Look, there's a lot at stake.
Well done, Jared. What are you doing, sucking up to the tea? Barry? Anyone got an apple? When you met Anthony Hudson today, did you think to yourself, God, he's small?
Will Hoskin-Elliott grabbed one of my blokes from behind, and I got so outraged by this, so you know what I do? I go and hit him from behind. That's funny.
I don't sit back, read papers and go, I mean, sorry about that.
That's how relaxed he is now. He just swears on TV now. I didn't know this bloke. Ed Sheeran. Who is he?
Oh, you're probably showing your age there.
The kids know these words and these songs, and you know it's all about being on your phone.
I'm really proud of you, Pav. You're tipping your hair as well late in your career.
Yes, I am, Robbo. Thanks for pointing that out. I was going to, we were talking about before about unexpected questions.
Just before we go, I can't believe Hodgie actually outlasted Luke Ball. Can you believe that?
You suck. Didn't even hurt. Did you see me get him back?
With the stray elbow.
I wasn't astray. I got him. Have a look at this. I hit him.
Port Adelaide and Richmond.
He didn't
leave any impression whatsoever.
He didn't move.
Hey, things are not rolling Freo's way this week.
What's happened?
The flight to Sydney tonight has been cancelled. They were on the plane, taken off the plane. The flight won't go, and they're just sitting at the airport waiting to find out whether they will be able to fly tonight or whether they're all heading home and flying to Sydney tomorrow.
Why is this? Fog?
No, the plane itself.
A mechanical error?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's crap. This is 2014.
It's better not to get... It's better to find out on the ground.
What do we go around in balloons or something? I mean, it's 2014. Have a second plane there.
A second plane. A backup plane.
This isn't... Is this Qantas?
No. The weekend forecast for round 20 for the first week of the finals is brought to you by Gatorade. So we're under the pump here. A sure thing.
I'm going to Port Adelaide Richmond on Sunday. I sure think I will be singing Never Tear Us Apart at the start of the show, at the start of the game. Do you want me to sing it now?
Warm up for us.
No, Jerry. I'm on national TV. I won't sing. That's a great song, though, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I'm going to be singing that. What's your sure thing?
I think when we hit time on of the final term tomorrow night, it'll be in the balance. I truly believe this will sit with the set of matches we've seen with Hawthorn and Geelong. Most at stake.
Port Adelaide. Top of the ladder, round 14. Out first weekend, bad.
Bomber.
Why Bomber?
Well, this could be it. If they lose, he's finished.
Yeah.
This will be the end of your senior coaching career.
No, it won't. No.
Doomsday scenario.
Oh, North Melbourne lose for me. Very much. I was swapping between Port Adelaide and North Melbourne. Now, what is your doomsday?
Koshy's flight delayed. So he's flying in from LA. He doesn't get into Sydney until 7:30 Sunday morning, and then he's still got to get to Adelaide. Not much has to go wrong here for Koshy to miss the final at the Adelaide Oval.
No, that's not good at all. Anyway, can we sign off?
We can sign off.
It's been a great week. Enjoy your footy over the weekend. Fox Footy.
Hey, enjoy the Adelaide
Live
Oval.
every game. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
See you Monday.